Good morning, security gang. Welcome back to the CyberHub Podcast. My name is James Azar. I'm the host, and I'm also a Chief Information Security Officer and a cybersecurity practitioner. Welcome to the milestone for the show, episode 1000. So, a lot of people asked me over the weekend, James, episode 1000. And I go, well, thank you very much to LinkedIn user number. I'm pretty sure I know who that is, but I'm not going to guess. LinkedIn users like their privacy. So, with that being said, um, this show started. This show started in the fall of 2018. Um, Back then, we were known as the CyberHub Engage podcast. In fact, we rebranded to the CyberHub podcast back in 2021 when we started really a full-time format of this show at 9 a.m. Eastern. That started right around COVID. And um and we've been carrying it since. Overall though, as someone was kind enough to point out, a former colleague here on the show, um, who started this show with me, and then obviously during COVID we ended up parting ways, and I kind of took full kind of control of the program. We have 1900 episodes in all variations. 1900. We had a podcast called CISO Talk. I retired that back in 2022, 2023. That was a seasonal kind of podcast where I'd interview other CISOs. The workload was just too much on it. It had unbelievable downloads. One of our most popular podcasts ever, if you haven't seen it or listened to it yet, is Goodbye Privacy. It's right here in the studio. It's my young days. Um, that podcast actually was on Apple's new and noteworthy for a long period of time, and one of the top downloaded podcasts I've seen, right? For us here specifically, and so much more. I mean, during COVID we did the Tech Town Square. Eddie Doyle, my best buddy, and I, um, like we've gone through a lot of iterations to get to this one that all of y'all really do love. So, thank you for your support. Episode 1000 wouldn't be possible without the support of my family. Wouldn't be possible without the support of every single one of you who's tuning in each and every single day. People who reach out and text me and go, dude, you're one of the only you're one of the only podcasts I listen to. You're the only podcast I get my content from. I'm grateful. I don't think y'all understand what those words mean to me. Um, a lot of times in this world, you're often in this virtual bubble. And I like to touch grass often, quite frequently, in fact, and kind of step away from what I like to call the online clout into just normalcy. And I love it. And I was supposed to be at InfoSec World today. My talk was going to be in about 4 or 5 hours. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because of this episode, and also a big announcement I'll be making later on this week, where I've actually shifted in my career. So I'll be sharing that news with y'all later this week. So with that being said, though, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I've got my double espresso with me. I'd love to do a CyberHub podcast 1000 episode coffee cup. Cheers. I've got one of my favorite double espressos, CISO XC, coming to Atlanta November 5th, y'all. CISO XC. If y'all are in the Texas area or Chicago, CISO XC is one of the thriving CISO communities in the country. CISO, Jamin, and team in Dallas put on just spectacular events, and they're coming here to Atlanta November 5th. I'll be there. Will you? So go check that out. Thanks so much for tuning in, buddy. All right, folks. Coffee cup cheers. While we celebrate 1,000, my wife wanted to bring a cake. She was so funny. She's like, hey, let me get you a cake. And I was like, I'm not a cake guy. I'm a pie guy. Just so y'all know, I'm a pie guy through and through. I'm a pie. Like, I love pie. I don't like cake. I tolerate cake. I'll eat cake. But if you want to know the way to my heart, pie. Every time. Just a pie. Bring me a pie. That's all I want. A pie and a bourbon. I'm good. Pie, bourbon, life's good. All right. let's get to some cyber news, because guess what happened over the weekend? Um, the cyber actors didn't quite stop doing what they do, and vulnerabilities didn't stop existing. So Toys R Us Canada, um, customer data has been leaked online. So Toys R Us still does exist outside of Macy's in other parts of the world. In fact, in um, when we were in Israel this summer, we saw Toys R Us everywhere. Like every mall had a Toys R Us, and it was packed. Um, Apparently in Canada they have Toys R Us. I know in Europe they have Toys R Us. In Asia they have Toys R Us. The iconic American brand is iconic no more only in America. And that's a sad statement, all of within itself, for our retail. But the retailer did notify customers that a threat actor stole personal information and leaked it online. Discovery traces back to July 30th when data appeared on the unindexed internet. Details and notices should suggest contact data and order context are impacted by this one. Um, if you're a Toys R Us Canada customer, what I would say, phishing, smishing against loyalty customers are likely going to be significant threats there. Refund fraud, and even account takeovers could be another threat there as well. So Toys R Us did publish a customer FAQ. That's really important, and y'all should be paying attention to some of the demarks coming in, and Toys R Us should be rotating those as part of everything they do. Um, by the way, if you're on LinkedIn, the link is right there. Event details, CISO XC Atlanta request for RSVP. Go check that out there as well. So sorry. So that's it for the Toys R Us story this morning. We'll move to Russia getting a cyber attack on their food safety agency. The cyber attack was a DDoS attack, and the Ruzelkenhandhauser says a large-scale DDoS attack disrupted their VetIS and Saturn, which tracks agricultural products and chemicals. The delays ripple through customs and logistics, according to the Russian Food Safety Agency. So, a few really important things about this one. This is the second or third time in as many months that we talk about a cyber attack on Russia's Food Safety Agency. I spent some time in Russia. Those who don't know, if you've ever been in my studio or you've ever met me, I have a map of the world, and I've been to a lot of places, over, I think, just a little over 100 countries and 6 continents. Spent a lot of time in Russia, Ukraine, former USSR. Um, Food safety is a really, really big deal. The quality of food is a really, really big deal in Russian culture, as it should be in every culture. So these types of attacks are really designed to not only disrupt the food safety, but create public unrest against the Russian government and its inability to actually deal with Russian safety issues there. And you could be looking at some scams that come out of this. So all of that could be really, really significant for the psyche of the Russian population that's dealing with a war that I think most people want to see come to an end. So we'll wait to see what happens there. We'll continue with this story. Red Tiger based info stealer is looting Discord accounts. And this one is significant. Attackers have repurposed the Red Tiger tool into a stealer that grabs Discord tokens, MFA details, and even saved payment information. They've taken over communities and marketplaces on Discord, which has led to significant impact for many users on Discord who rely on Discord for money. The takeover of corporation Discords used for support and dev communities is causing some brand damage. It's costing some supply chain issues and even some social engineering campaigns that are leading to more downstream types of threats. If you have not been victimized by it, but you do use a Discord, you may want to rotate your tokens. You want to enforce verified domain links, require re-authentication after device profile changes, and even monitor for mass webhook edits on your Discord server in order to ensure that you don't fall victim to these types of attacks. That's going to also be extremely significant. We moved to 2 stories around ransomware economics today, where attacks are up, but payments are down. According to Covor's Q3 2025 view, payouts fell as most large enterprises refused to pay, and mid-market payments actually shrank in size. Other tracking shows attacks volume up 50% year to date, as new crews are filling in the vacuum from some old crews that have been taken down. There's been more attempts, but lower conversion rate because of that. So More interruptions, meaning increased cost, but the leverage to hold the line on ransom, if you can restore, will go through a long process. And we're seeing that through the extortion attacks that we saw with Salesforce, right? Um, so that's significant. The restore exercise is critical. It's something every person should do within the first 6 months. The restore exercise. Prove that you can restore quarterly or semi-annually. Make extortion resilience a part of your continuity testing, from everything from communication to pen and paper. I got to tell you, someone I know, they went through an event and someone had to run Office Depot or like a Target to get pen and paper because they had very few in the office to sustain everything going on there as well. So we see both of those stories there. A WSUS critical flaw is now being exploited in the wild. The critical Windows server WSUS bug is under active exploitation. Microsoft shipped emergency updates, and unhardened WSOS lets adversaries push malicious updates to those devices. You want to patch this immediately and require HTTPS with valid certs, restrict who can approve the updates, and audit for any unexpected deployments since at least the 1st of October. So you got to go back in your logs 27 days if you're doing it today. That's significant there as well. So pay attention to this. And then again, this is CVE 2025 59287. And you see the various updates based on your Windows Server version, anywhere from 2012 to 2025, and everything in the middle. Again, the exploitation is happening in the wild with default ports 8530 for TCP and 8531 exposed online starting Thursday, October 23rd. So if that's exposed, you may want to shut down that port if you don't have use for it as well. We'll move to this Chrome 0-day that's really kind of making an impact there, and it's being linked to attacks involving some hacking teams' new spyware. New analysis is linking the recent Chrome 0-day exploitation to the same toolset used in Dante's spyware campaigns. Media and government targets are in scope of this specific 0-day, according to Kaspersky. It's been dubbed Operation Forum Toll, and it's targeting education, finance, government, media, research, and other organizations in Russia. And it's using phishing emails masquerading as forum invitations to deliver personalized, short-lived links, taking victims to websites containing the exploit for that CVE. So that's significant there. One way to mitigate this: force update Chrome and Chromium browsers, review your ADR for render sandbox escapes and unknown extensions. Installs on reports and exec endpoints would go a long way. On reporter endpoints, by the way, if you're in the media business, you may want to pay attention to that as well. We move to HashiCorp, experiencing a significant CVE here. That's 2025 12044 and 11621. These fresh reports of both of these highlight conditions that can expose secrets or even bypass authentication caching. Separate advisories have been urging immediate patching earlier this quarter for both of these. However, still there's many unpatched environments here for the HashiCorp Vault. So this could lead to silent key leakage or even a cloud takeover. It could lead to compliance fallout and potential of regulated data. So you want to make sure to upgrade to the fixed Vault releases, rotate tokens, leases, or app roles, and gate Vault UI and API behind SSO and network policy to get this all done. The Kayleen ransomware group is back, and they're back with Avengers ramping up hybrid attacks. Kayleen is among 2025's most active crews. New reporting is showing the Linux payloads launched on Windows Plus, the bring your own virtual drive to kill EDR and nuke backups, are often seeded through RMM tools by this group. All in all, 84 victims have fallen for this types of attacks in the month of August and September. According to the data compiled by Cisco Talos, the US, Canada, UK, France, Germany are some of the countries most impacted by this, singling out manufacturing, professional and scientific services, and even wholesale trade sectors. So you can tell just the sophistication of this attack. You want to back up your IR paralysis and faster time to ransomware, and then you want to block vulnerable drivers who require code sign RMM with per session approval, isolate backup networks, and even test bare metal restores. As Jay Harris says here, recovery and restore, stop paying criminals and start paying the sec dev team to protect that as well. And thank you for the happy 1,000. Very much appreciate it. And another question, are there tools yet to do all this checking and re-authentication? There are, specifically if you're talking about HashiCorp, one of their competitors, Achilles, does do that. I know that for a fact. But yeah, there's absolutely tools out there that do that 100%. And we ought to be utilizing as many of them as possible. Breach Forums is making a comeback online, this time on a ClearNet domain. After repeated takedowns, the new ClearNet iteration is live and under new admin. Parts of the ecosystem keep resurfacing even as the FBI seizes those domains. So showing you just the resiliency of these threat actors as they continue to stand up these sites, continue. And again, the decentralized nature of the crime is cybercrime is you take one down, 10 others pop up. Take one down, 10 others pop up. Take one down, 10 others pop up. And they do this all the time. It's something they're absolutely used to. They continue to do it. And we have to we can't change the way we operate because of the legal frameworks that exist. And trying to move those legal frameworks could create room for tyranny, which is something we don't want. However, we do need to be faster. That's one thing law enforcement could do. But to the credit of the FBI, CISA, Interpol, Europol, and so many others, they've been moving at lightning speed this year at eliminating cybercrime and putting a stop to it. So that's effective. That's it for our show this morning, folks. Wrapping up episode 1000 feels a bit surreal. Feels like almost every other episode to me personally, but I want to thank each and every single one of you again. Without you, the show would not be possible. You can find us at cyberhubpodcast.com. Check out our YouTube channel. Check out our content on your favorite social media platform. LinkedIn is where we're primarily more active, although we plan to be a bit more active on other platforms. The news by Secretary Bassett that the TikTok deal has been essentially approved, and the coronation of the deal will happen when President Trump meets President Xi in South Korea later this week. Will likely lead for us opening a TikTok account. Yes, I've said it. We were gonna hoping the deal would get cemented before episode 1000 so we can announce it today, but that's not the case. Until it's in U.S. hands, we won't be opening up any of our data flows to the Chinese Communist Party in any form or fashion. That's it for us. Again, thank you all for tuning in this morning. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for all of your kind words. Check out cyberhubpodcast.com. Have a great week, a great rest of your day, and most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.